Week 2 of the NFL's in the books, and we got a lot to talk about. And I got a score prediction right, but we'll get to that later. And we'll start with Thursday Night Football between the Packers and the Commanders. The Packers were able to defeat the Commanders 27-18 in a game that wasn't really as close as the score would indicate. Packers, they look really good. They look like a Super Bowl contender, and I would not be shocked if they won the Super Bowl this year. So good for them. As for the Commanders, I don't love their situation right now. I think they're good, but not great. That's just how I feel about their team. And until they start playing better, that's kind of how I'm going to feel about them, just until they prove something to me. All right, and heading to our next game, it's an AFC North football matchup between the Ravens and Browns. The Ravens, unsurprisingly, won this game by a lot. Although I will say, the game was pretty close until the second half. The Browns were hanging in there, so I'll give them credit for that. They were able to stop Derrick Henry, but they still had to deal with Lamar, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, DeAndre Hopkins. So there's just too many things to deal with for that Browns defense, and also they're a bad team. The Ravens are a great team, so definitely not shocked by this outcome. All right, and next up we have the Bengals beating the Jags 31-27, and we'll get the positives for the Bengals out of the way. They have a really good backup in Jake Browning. I think he could win them a couple of games, and their defense looks a lot better than they did last year already. Although, we'll address the elephant in the room. Joe Burrow, unfortunately, is going to miss at least 3 months of football, so that sucks. I feel so bad for Bengals fans. So, I mean, and you guys, your defense actually looks all right this year, so I don't know. Maybe he'll come back and they'll catch a spark later in the year, kind of what they did last year, but yeah, that sucks. As for the Jags, I mean, they had this game in the bag and then they fumbled it to a backup quarterback. Not that Jake Browning's bad, but if their starting quarterback gets injured, you need to win the game. And they couldn't do it. And Trevor Lawrence just doesn't look like the player that he should look like at this point in his career. Him and Brian Thomas Jr. just don't have any chemistry, and I don't know what to say about them. They need to get their shit together. All right, and next up we have an NFC East matchup where the Cowboys beat the Giants by a field goal in overtime, and one of the funnest games of the week. I mean, you had Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott putting on a show. And Malik Neighbors finally had a really good game this year. I mean, it's only week 2, but still. You could see his frustration last week about not getting the football. He definitely got the football in this game. And it's honestly unfortunate the Giants couldn't win this game. They had Russell Wilson threw for over 400 yards. Malik Neighbors had a really good game. Wan'Dale Robinson had a really good game too. But the Cowboys' offense is no joke. And, I mean, definitely not shocked by the result of the game, considering the Cowboys are a way more talented team, but I will say credit to the Giants for hanging in there, and credit to Brian Schottenheimer for getting his first ever victory as a head coach, so I guess there's that. And the Lions blew out the Bears by a lot, I'll say that. The 52-21 is crazy. But this game proved one thing. The Lions don't need Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson needs the Lions, potentially. I mean, the Lions, I had a feeling that they would not struggle that much on offense, and clearly they didn't in this game. I mean, yeah, Jared Goff had a great game. He had 5 passing touchdowns. Amon-Ra had 3 receiving touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, I think, each had a touchdown apiece. And yeah, the Lions, they're still the Lions. I still don't get why people were thinking that they were going to suck or miss the playoffs. This team is still a really damn good team. And as for the Bears, I don't know what to say. I feel like no matter what they do, they're just going to suck. It's the Bears, and I hate giving that answer because, it's a little mean, but it's just like, this team is cursed in some way. I feel like no matter who their quarterback is, he's going to suck. No matter who their head coach is, they're going to suck. No matter who the offensive line is, it doesn't matter. It's the Bears. And next up, we have an AFC East matchup between the Patriots and the Dolphins. The Patriots are able to sneak out with a 33-27 victory, and Drake May looked really good in this game. So credit to him for that. And I think he's going to be a great player this year. I don't know if the Patriots will make the playoffs or anything, but I think they got their guy. He looked really good. And I think the chemistry between him and Stephon Diggs is only going to get stronger from here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to watching him play. As for the Dolphins, I mean, at least it was close. At least you guys didn't get blown out by the Colts. But I don't know what to say. They probably should have won the game, but Devon Achane stepped out of bounds. And I think he stepped out of bounds on the drive that would have put the Dolphins up by 1. So obviously they had to call it back. So it's just unfortunate. I still don't love the Dolphins situation. And I think Mike McDaniel's a ticking time bomb right now. And next up, we have the 49ers led by Mac Jones beating the Saints 26-21 in a surprisingly good game. Both quarterbacks who were in this game played really well. Spencer Rattler looked not terrible, and Mac Jones looked pretty good too on the 49ers. So it was good that this was a good game, and the 49ers, they were able to take care of business despite their starting quarterback and starting tight end being out of this game. And the Saints, I mean, I gotta say, they're hanging in there. They're hanging in there a lot more than they thought they would. And honestly, maybe they'll win next week. I mean, they're putting up some fights. I didn't expect this. I mean, I expected them to lose, but I definitely didn't expect they would make it competitive. So, you know, maybe the Saints won't be as unwatchable as I thought they were going to be. All right, and heading to our other AFC East matchup, you have the Bills blowing out the Jets 30-10. And this game was about what I expected. I mean, the Bills are a Super Bowl contender and the Jets are a rebuilding franchise. It is a shame for the Jets. I thought they were going to at least make it a little competitive just because of the way they played last week against the Steelers, but they didn't really do that in this game. And Justin Fields might miss a couple of weeks because he's banged up. And yeah, this is nothing really insane to take away here. I just hope that Justin Fields isn't, severely injured. All right, next up, you have the Seahawks beating the Steelers 31-17, and this honestly shocked me. I thought the Steelers were going to win, but Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, they looked way more efficient this week, again, other than Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, they don't have that connection that they need, and because the Seahawks defense is better than the Jets defense, it's problematic. They're able to exploit their weaknesses. And the Steelers just didn't play very good. They played bad. And usually the Steelers can win those bad games because it's the Steelers, but they couldn't do that. And, that's enough for the Steelers. The Seahawks, though, good credit to them. They could seriously win the NFC West, though. I had my doubts, after making my predictions, but they could still be on par to do that. And, Sam Darnold, I don't think he's their franchise quarterback, but he's definitely good enough for this season and maybe a couple more. All right, next up, you have the Rams escaping against the Titans. This game was a little nerve-wracking for the Rams because they were actually losing at halftime, if you couldn't tell by the score being under. And I don't know what was going on with them in the first half. They just looked lost. I mean, perhaps a potential trap game, at least for the first half, and then I guess they finally got their shit together, put up 23 in the third and fourth quarters, so I guess that's good that they got the win. And as for the Titans, I mean, I will say Cam Ward had a really sick first touchdown. He was running, and he threw the ball across his body, like all the way across the field, and the guy caught it. So credit to Cam Ward. He might be pretty good this year if the Titans can, help him out a little more. All right, and next up you have the Cardinals almost blowing a game to the Panthers. This game, the Cardinals were dominating this game. And then I guess a flip switched in the second half, or mostly the fourth quarter, because that fourth quarter was bad for the Cardinals. And they almost choked. They were so close to losing this game. They were up by, it was 27-9 heading in the fourth. And then the Panthers, they ended up They ended up getting a touchdown, and then I think they missed the 2-point conversion, or maybe they missed it on the next one. But they got a touchdown, and then I think the Cardinals went like 3 and out or something. The Carolina Panthers got the ball back. You know, it was still a 2-score game, but they did end up scoring another touchdown. And then you think surely the Cardinals wouldn't give up an onside kick. Well, they did just that, but thankfully they were able to stop the Panthers on their final drive. So it's good that they won that, but geez, they need to be better about managing that, situation. I will say good on the Panthers for putting up a fight. I thought they were going to get crushed, and they were able to really scare the Cardinals. So maybe they won't be as bad as I thought. And we get to the game that I really, really, really don't want to talk about because I'm a Broncos fan and this was really tough to watch. But the Colts beat the Broncos 29-28, and I gotta say, Daniel Jones looks pretty good. I mean, last week might have been a fluke, but he proved this week that it wasn't a fluke against a pretty good Broncos defense. So good on the Colts for shocking the Broncos, going to 2-0. And as for the Broncos, I mean, here's the thing. Like, sure, that penalty on the kick, there's a 60-yard field goal that the Colts attempted, and it was a miss, but then they called a penalty on leverage or something, and then they kicked a 45-yard field goal, made that. And it's just like, I mean, that sucks, but it's like, you never should have let it get to that point. I mean, we had opportunities to close the game away, and we didn't do that. So I'm definitely not going to make excuses because we just need to be better. And I will say, good on the Colts. They put up one hell of a fight, and they could potentially sneak into the playoffs if they're lucky. And we go from a game I hated talking about to a game that I love to talk about for 2 reasons. The Chiefs lost, and I got a score prediction right. Actually, this was the exact score I predicted when I did my predictions a few days ago. So yeah, I got my exact score prediction. I got one last year. We'll see if I get another one this year. But, this game honestly wasn't very good. At least not until the second half, because there was just no offense. I feel like both teams just flamed out on offense. And, I mean, the Eagles, they're 2-0, but I gotta say, they're an ugly 2-0. I think they remind me of the Chiefs last year, because the Chiefs were winning a lot of ugly games last year. And that's what the Eagles are starting to do. So we'll see if they can, win prettier or just continue to keep winning ugly. And as for the Chiefs, you're 0-2. And I'm going to enjoy this, and I'm sure a lot of other NFL fans are going to enjoy this too, as while it lasts. But, I still think you guys will be fine. You guys will make the playoffs, as much as I don't like admitting that. And, we'll see how they play in the future. All right, and on Sunday Night Football, you have the Falcons beating the Vikings 22-6, and I actually did predict this. I thought the Falcons would win. I did think it would be closer, but I just had a feeling the Vikings wouldn't play very good, and they didn't. J.J. McCarthy looks pretty bad, and he's actually going to be injured for a few weeks. And there's actually, I think there's speculation that he played so bad that they're saying he's injured when he's not, but they're benching him, but they're not saying that. So that's a whole thing. And I think he'll be fine as long as, he recovers from his supposed injury and, just calms down and plays at an NFL level. But I gotta say, the Falcons, they played really well in this game, and they might be another team to look out for. I thought they were going to go 7-10. I think they'll definitely do better than that. They're giving the Bucs a run for their money for that division. And they could make playoffs, and they got a loaded offense. And their defense is nothing to scoff at, considering they were able to shut down the elite Vikings offense. So credit to the Falcons. All right, and we got our first of 2 Monday Night Football games. You have the Bucs beating the Texans by a point, 20-19. They actually scored a touchdown with, I believe 10 seconds left to take the lead by 1. And I gotta say, the Bucs and Baker Mayfield, I think they're a really good team. And this game wasn't pretty, but Baker Mayfield showed how clutch he was. On that final drive, he was just getting first down after first down, and he's so good. I feel like people don't talk about how good Baker Mayfield is. And as for the Texans, this is not a good start. You guys are 0-2. You've lost 2 close games. You're tied for last in your division, which you were projected to win. And we'll see how they play next week against the Jags. That's going to be a really big game to see how they do. But yeah, it's not looking good for Houston right now. And ending the week, you have the Chargers beating the Raiders 20-9. And this game, I did expect it to be a little closer. I didn't expect the Raiders to be as dog shit as they were. I thought it would be closer. I still thought the Chargers would win, but I thought it would be a little more back and forth. But all I can say about this game is the Chargers are looking really good. I'm not going to say they're Super Bowl contenders because it's the Chargers, and they tend to underperform in big moments, but you never know. And as for the Raiders, they don't look good. Geno Smith, I don't think he's the guy. I know the Chargers have a good defense and all that, but he looked bad. Like, there's a point in that game where he was 0 for 10 and had 3 interceptions, and that's really bad. I mean, obviously he didn't finish with that stat line, but the fact that it even got to that point, it's like, that's ridiculously bad. And they got a lot of things to figure out, and Ashton Jenney doesn't even look that good either. I mean, Amari Hampton also doesn't look good. He's the running back for the Chargers, but the Chargers are winning, and that's what matters. The Raiders, they did not win this game, so there's a lot of question marks with them. And there you have it. That's my reactions. My record for the games was 13-3, and I got an exact score prediction, so hooray for me for doing that. And that's going to do it for this video. I'm sorry it's a little long. I honestly thought it would be shorter, but if you guys are still watching, I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you in my prediction video on Thursday. Peace out.